plane crashes occurred consecutively within just 24 hours. This was something no one could have imagined on December 29, 2024, the last Sunday of the year. Airplanes, the mode of transport considered the safest in the world, have now become a haunting fear for millions of people globally. So, how many people were kept safe? How many people could not return from those 3 fateful flights? And what secrets lie hidden behind this series of tragedies that the public has not yet been informed? Please join us for today's real event to look back at the 3 shocking aviation accidents on the eve of the New Year 2025. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to support our team. Thank you for everyone. Jeju Air is one of the largest and most famous low-cost airlines in South Korea. Founded in 2005, the airline quickly established its position in the domestic and international aviation market. With an extensive flight network, Jeju Air offers passengers many convenient choices to explore the beauty of South Korea and neighboring countries. Moreover, in its nearly 20-year development history, the airline has never encountered any serious incidents, making people increasingly trust and choose Jeju Air. However, that pride was no longer intact after the fateful morning of December 29. At 1:30 a.m. local time, Jeju Air's Boeing 737-800 with flight number 7C2216 began its departure from Bangkok, Thailand, heading to Muan International Airport, located about 288 kilometers southwest of the capital Seoul. The Muan, Bangkok route has been operated with about 4 flights per week since July 8. As part of a seasonal schedule running until March 23, 2025. The flight carried 175 passengers and 6 crew members, totaling 181 people. Among them, most were Korean, with only 2 Thai citizens. Many people on the flight had just finished a 5-day trip to Bangkok. Therefore, they were eagerly looking forward to returning home to rest, while also excited to share with their relatives about the interesting gifts from the new land. The entire flight journey passed peacefully. At 8:54 a.m., the pilots began the landing process with the intention of touching down on runway 01. However, they were unsuccessful. Because the aircraft could not lower its landing gear, the crew decided to go around and circle to attempt another landing. At this moment, the home view control tower sent a notification to the crew, warning about bird activity. It is known that this warning is usually issued when a large flock of birds, or a large bird is detected moving near the aircraft area. Subsequently, the flight crew decided to perform a belly landing during the second landing attempt. The runway targeted this time was number 19. However, very quickly, some passengers and flight attendants saw smoke coming from one of the engines. One passenger, out of extreme fear, sent a message to a relative at home, reporting that a bird was stuck in the plane's wing, preventing a landing. This person also tremblingly asked whether they should send a final message. The message reached this passenger's relative at 9 a.m. But before a reply could be received, at 9:03 a.m., the aircraft, like a giant iron bird, slid along the runway on its and then crashed violently into the concrete wall surrounding the airport. Immediately, this iron bird shattered into many pieces. The fuselage burst into intense flames, with thick, dark smoke billowing into the sky. In the video recording the final moments of the aircraft, we can see passengers sitting in the cabin being thrown out and crashing directly into the concrete wall. From that very moment, their lives seemed to have been decided. And the outcome was indeed just that. The Korean Fire Department reported that at least 179 people, including 84 women, 82 men, and 11 others whose gender could not be determined, died in the incident. More heartbreakingly, the severity of the accident made identifying the bodies difficult. Among the 177 bodies found, authorities have only confirmed the identities of 88 victims. Also, according to information from the authorities, the youngest passenger was a 3-year-old boy and the oldest passenger was a 78-year-old man. The list of deceased victims also includes 5 children under 10 years old. Fortunately, 2 people survived the disaster. Both were Jeju Air Flight attendants named Lee and Koo. They were found in the tail section of the aircraft. Although this area is generally considered to have a low survival rate in the event of an aviation accident. In this incident, major impacts caused the tail section to separate almost completely from the forward fuselage. which helped increase the survival chances for the two flight attendants. Before the plane encountered the problem, Lee said she was sitting in the flight attendant's seat in the tail section and had the seatbelt fastened. She then felt the aircraft land but did not know what happened afterwards. Fortunately, this horrific incident did not greatly affect Lee's health. She only suffered a bruised left shoulder and a head injury but remained conscious and could walk normally. Due to the serious nature of the incident, firefighting and rescue forces were continuously mobilized to the scene to extinguish the fire and search for victims. The National Police Agency also dispatched forensic investigators to help identify the victims. About 579 police officers were deployed to support search operations and escort ambulances. Authorities also set up a temporary morgue at Jeju Airport to place the victims' bodies, supporting autopsy and identification work. Simultaneously, the investigation into the cause of the incident was also. Lee Jong-hyun, head of the Muin fire station, said experts are investigating the cause of the accident to see if the incident was caused by a bird strike leading to mechanical failure. Another senior official from the Ministry of Transport, Zhu Zhongguan, confirmed to reporters that government investigators had arrived at the scene to investigate the cause of the accident. According to him, the plane attempted to land once that the air traffic control tower issued a warning about a bird strike. Therefore, the plane ascended before attempting a second landing. 2 minutes later, the plane sent a distress signal and attempted to land on another runway. 3 minutes later, it touched down but the landing gear did not deploy, causing the entire large aircraft to essentially belly land, then crash into the fence and burst into flames. Mr. Chong Kwon said experts had collected flight data and cockpit voice recorder data from the aircraft's black box to investigate the cause of the accident and the fire. He also said it could take many months for this investigation to be completed. But for now, the runway at Jeju Airport will be closed until January 1st. The Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 incident occurred at a critical time. South Korea was mired in crisis due to the martial law order issued by former President Yoon Suk-yeol on July 3rd. As the new leader had only been in power for 2 days, acting South Korean President Choi Sang-mok visited the scene, urging rescue forces to do their utmost to save the victims. He also designated Muin as a special disaster area. Accordingly, the government will provide all necessary support to address the costs, including support for families of the deceased and medical treatment for the injured. Immediately afterwards, South Korea also declared national mourning until January 4th to commemorate the victims of the plane crash. Thai Prime Minister Pattanathon Srinawatra also expressed deep condolences to the families affected by the accident. Through a social media post, Pattanathon stated that she had ordered the Thai Ministry of Foreign Affairs to provide immediate assistance to the relatives of the victims. However, the most closely watched move at this moment is the response from Jeju Air's lead. Almost immediately after the disaster occurred, Mr. Kim Han, the chairman of the airline, along with other senior officials, bowed and apologized to the families of the deceased, and affirmed that Jeju Air would take full responsibility for the incident. Mr. Kim also stated that the company had not detected any mechanical problems with the aircraft after regular inspections, and that he would await the government's investigation results regarding the cause of the incident. However, is what Mr. Kim said true? Was the Boeing 737-800 aircraft completely intact and stable when it began its journey on the 29th of the 72nd month? An anonymous caller told Yonhap that he had just returned from Bangkok to Muin on December 27th on the very aircraft that crashed. He said the aircraft's engine had seized out several times before departure, which made him very worried. However, when he reported this to the flight attendant, they only told him that everything was fine. But in reality, the flight departed more than an hour later than scheduled due to problems at the airport. Although his flight landed safely, the problems he personally witnessed and heard made the passengers unavoidably anxious. But before he could do anything to warn others, the real disaster had already occurred. According to information, the Boeing 737-800 aircraft with registration number 7C2216 was 15. This is a popular aircraft model in Jeju Air's fleet. Concerns about the aircraft's safety are not unfounded. Do not forget that this Boeing aircraft had to make a belly landing. Thus, it is clear that the aircraft's landing gear had a problem preventing it from deploying during landing. But whether the issue was truly due to age, improper maintenance, or pilot error, this still awaits answers from aviation experts. Another frequently mentioned cause is a bird strike. Many speculate that the aircraft may have collided with a bird before landing, damaging the landing gear system. Reports also indicate that before the aircraft landed, air traffic control had warned the pilots about this risk. At this point, you might wonder, an aircraft so large, bulky, and heavy, could it really be damaged just by a bird? But in the sky, things are much more complex. When an aircraft is moving at speeds up to 1,000 kilometers per hour, a collision between an iron bird and a flesh and blood bird can cause significant consequences due to the extremely high impact speed. The result of this can cause the aircraft's engines to fail. This has indeed happened with many commercial flights worldwide. Aircraft manufacturer Boeing also immediately spoke out after the incident. The company's leadership stated they are in contact with Jeju Air regarding Flight 2216, and are ready to support their partner in investigating the cause of the disaster. They also extended apologies to the families of the victims. Thus, nothing is clear after this incident except for the human casualties. At this moment, a gloomy atmosphere is enveloping South Korea. A television drama produced in 2017 was unexpectedly brought back up. Not because it was good, but because it contained eerily coincidental details with the aircraft incident on the morning of July 29. Also, 181 passengers also encountered a disaster while landing, and also exploding and burning fiercely after colliding with the runway. Could this be a predicted disaster? But as the world had not yet recovered from the aircraft incident in the land of kimchi, an hour later, an aircraft in Canada made everyone's heart stop again. Air Canada Flight 2259, operated by PAL Airlines, carrying about 80 passengers from St. John City, Newfoundland and Labrador Province to Nova Scotia Province in eastern Canada, encountered an issue after landing at Halifax Airport. A passenger reported that upon landing, one of the aircraft's landing gears did not deploy, causing the aircraft to tilt heavily to one side and the entire fuselage to slide down the runway. The entire aircraft shook violently, and immediately, fire on the left side began to flare up, with smoke pouring from the windows. Signs indicated that the aircraft's engines had caught fire. Fortunately, rapid response forces took timely rescue actions to ensure the safety of passengers and crew. Therefore, everyone was evacuated urgently within just 2 minutes, so there were no serious casualties. Afterward, they were evacuated by bus to the terminal for a full health check. Immediately after, authorities temporarily closed the airport. However, after a short time, the airport was reopened to receive passengers. Nevertheless, authorities initiated an investigation into the cause of the incident and promised to announce it as soon as possible. But perhaps there was still too much time left on July 29th, so a third aircraft incident occurred. KLM's Boeing 737-800, flight number KL1204, encountered a serious issue shortly after takeoff from Oslo, Norway to Amsterdam, Netherlands. At this time, the aircraft was carrying 176 passengers and 6 crew members. But instead of trouble after landing, the issue occurred just as the aircraft left Oslo Airport's runway. At this point, the crew realized the aircraft was experiencing serious hydraulic problems. Therefore, they decided to make an emergency landing at Torp Sandefjord Airport, about a 50-minute flight away. And under the skillful control of the pilots, the aircraft landed safely at Torp Sandefjord Airport at 7:05 p.m. local time. A KLM Airlines representative stated that during takeoff of the flight from Oslo to Amsterdam, a loud noise was heard from the aircraft. That is why the crew decided to divert to Sandefjord Airport. After landing, the Boeing 737 slid off the runway and landed on its belly. However, thanks to the crew's thorough preparation, the aircraft only veered into the grass at low speed. Thus, a disaster like that of the Boeing 737-800 did not occur. All 176 passengers and 6 crew members were evacuated promptly, with no casualties. Maui police believe the incident was due to a serious hydraulic failure. Shortly after, Sandthorpe Airport had to temporarily close for investigation and handling. Thus, December 29th truly was a dark day for the global aviation industry. It is very likely that many years later, people will still recall this fateful day. But from the series of tragedies on this dark Sunday, are there any lessons to be learned? First, it is the importance of thorough preparation for emergency scenarios. One key factor in preventing casualties is pre-planning for the worst-case situations. Airlines always maintain mandatory training programs for pilots and flight crews, covering scenarios from engine failure and bad weather to in-flight incidents. In the Air Canada incident, rescue forces took only 2 minutes to evacuate all 80 passengers and crew from the burning aircraft. More importantly, the process was extremely orderly, systematic, and scientific. There was no pushing or excessive panic at all. Clearly, without hundreds of prior drills, it would be difficult to organize such a safe emergency evacuation. Second, checking the aircraft's safety before each flight is absolutely essential. Note that 2/3 of the aircraft involved in accidents on December 29 had issues with their landing gear. The remaining one had a hydraulic failure. More importantly, the Jeju passengers had previously seen that aircraft experiencing issues. This somewhat indicates that aircraft safety inspections were not conducted thoroughly and carefully enough. This issue needs to be addressed soon in the near future. Third, the composure and capability of the crew are crucial factors in resolving incidents and minimizing casualties. For example, in the KLM airline incident, the pilot was very quick-witted and decisive in changing the route, allowing the aircraft to land safely without causing any loss of life. Finally, did you notice one aircraft manufacturer's name repeatedly mentioned in these tragedies? Yes, it is Boeing. 2/3 of the aircraft involved in accidents on December 29 were produced by this giant. It is hard to claim Boeing is completely innocent when the accident rate for their aircraft is so high. In fact, these issues have been mentioned many times before, such as the global flight ban on the Boeing 737 MAX series. Recent incidents like the Alaska Airlines door blowout, or the Boeing 737-300 sliding off. When the frequency of incidents increases, it is no longer just an incident but a serious problem. Boeing should probably seriously reconsider this issue before thinking about competing with its formidable rival Airbus. In your opinion, are there any lessons or risks that airlines should carefully consider to avoid similar tragedies? Please share with me in the comments section. Before leaving, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and look forward to more stories on the Real Incidents channel. And now, I bid you farewell and look forward to seeing you in future videos.
If the veil stirred, subscribe and meet the next encounter.